Hey, B19 Pokies, what's going on? It's Mr. Stanley. It's a wonderful, wacky Wednesday. Today's April 22nd. It's got a little chilly out there today, but sun's shining bright and I'm feeling good. So it's about, it'll be about 45 degrees today. But as the day goes on, it'll get cloudier, and I think we're supposed to get some rain tonight. So those April showers are going to bring lots of Mayflowers. So I was wondering yesterday as I was walking around, I thought about us and not how much not a lot of poetry we got to write. If you have time today, take a poetry walk. Take your poetry notebook out there and go write yourself a poem, and you can add it to your poetry from your Google Classroom if you want to. It's good to kind of reflect and just kind of take a different style of writing if you'd like to. I know we enjoyed our poetry walk at the Arboretum at McDowell when we did that a couple months ago now. So hopefully you guys get outside and enjoy today, even if it is a bit chilly. So today we have our Wacky Wednesday. We got music stuck there in the middle of all of it. We start with the language arts, and a few of you have been asking me about how many folk tales I should be reading. In your Epic mailbox, there is a collection of books called Folk Tales and Fairy Tales from Around the World. That's the collection you want to focus in on because they're specifically designed to be reading from different countries and different cultures. So what you're reading for is to try to figure out what lessons are being learned from these folk tales. Remember, they're told by like grandparents and grandparents to their grandkids and their kids, so that when they get older, they can tell their kids and pass it down by word of mouth. No one sat down and wrote these as books and handed the kid the book. So it tells us a lot about their culture, the way they dress, the way they speak, the way they work, what they eat. So I was kind of teaching that yesterday with my groups in language arts. If you're worried about filling in the chart, take your time with the chart. As long as you fill in one or two charts this week, you're fine. So by the end of the week, if you have one chart turned in, at least I can take a look at it and see that you're able to read a story, find out what lessons are learned, and something about the culture. It would be nice if you could find a book that you from a country that you've researched already, because then that way you're already an expert on that country and you can find more out about their culture by reading some of their folk tales. So that's the connection we're making there. That's the reading portion of it. I'll get to the writing of the fairy tales in a minute. So we got music stuck in there. Check out Mrs. Gerke's Google Classroom. She'll tell you what to do today for music. For math today, we have dozens of eggs. So today's assignment or lesson is brought to you by Mrs. Sangaris, and she's going to teach you how to think about dozens of eggs. And you'll notice that number 12 is stuck in there. So you might be able to make some connections today to the ruler, which is like the number 12. And some of my math groups, we were talking about factors of 12, factors that lead up to 12. Or those fact families with 12 in them for multiplication and division. So your assignment is basically to turn in either, if you want to turn in a picture of your your workbook page, you can do that. If you'd rather turn in just your math thinking, making connections to the ruler, some of your answers, like what it looks like, that's fine with me. So that's math for today. After that, we have Writer's Workshop. Writer's Workshop today is adding to or stretching out revision to detail. So we're making revisions to our stories to add more detail. Well, I want you to think about like walking into a play of Little Red Riding Hood. If you walked into a play of Little Red Riding Hood, there are times that the stage directors and the stage coordinators, they make a lot of background scenes and a lot of lights and smoke and all kinds of crazy things that go up on stage, because that's what the writer wants you to, or the listener, they want the speaker, they want you to listen and hear it and feel it and see it and smell it. So when you're writing your story, you might want to think about the scene that you're describing and pick out a scene and think about what should we see here? Let's say that you're writing a fairy tale about a robot Riding Hood. And as Robot Riding Hood is going through the forest to get to Grandma's, you might want to think about what the forest looks like. maybe you're in your head, you're envisioning just a regular forest with trees and flowers. So describe it, stretch it out, add those details, even if it is just a few words added to what you already have, instead of the little robot, little red robot went through the forest to get the grandmas. Stop, describe the forest, and then that way the reader gets an idea of what the forest looks like. Or is the forest way different? Is it made of like robot parts and trees made out of metal and tin and rust? I don't know. That's your world, your story. What do you want to add to it? Okay, so think about that when you go to stretch out your revisions. So today we're going to end with some Zoom meetings, or at least on my agenda, I'm going to end with some Zoom meetings. Make sure that you check your Google Calendar or your email for our Zoom meetings throughout the day. Some of you are going to reading club, some of you go to Mrs. Gaspro for any kind of reading, so please join us. Some of you go to Ms. Romani for speech. Please make sure that you join us for those Zoom meetings. They are cool. I love to get to see your face, and those are places for you guys to ask me any questions that you want. All right? So, I know this was a long morning hello, however, hopefully you guys are doing great, and I miss you, and have a wonderful, wonderful Wacky Wednesday.